Rome, summer 100 BC. The southern borderlands of East Rome. Decimus Aemilius Lepidus has been given early command over the borderlands. All remaining troops are to gather in Carcathiocerta. Decimus is far away from Rome. His orders are to capture the fortress of Arbela. His younger brother, Tiberius Aemilius Lepidus, has also been stationed at the border. Together, they form the Legion Lepidus. They march forward. It is summer, time for war. Tiberius leads the vanguard. In front of the fortress of Arbela, they encounter Asterix and Oberlix, a Seleucid Persian warlord with a strong army of almost 3,000 men. Tiberius has already gained some experience as a war leader. He commands special legionaries from Italy, heavy Roman elite infantry, barbarian archers, and a Hellenic phalanx. In total, they number 2,000 men. The enemy army of Asterix and Oberlix consists of 2,000 phalangites, totaling 3,000 men. The enemy general is paranoid, irritable, a liar, and completely mad. A massacre is about to unfold. Welcome to Rome, Total War.
Ist ein guter Tag zum Sterben. Und ein noch besserer, zu leben. Sodass ihr in Zukunft euren noch ungeborenen Enkeln
Tiberius does not hesitate. The die is cast. The battlefield is well chosen. The enemy gathers on a hill behind a clearing in the woods. Two paths lead down. The enemy phalangites are numerous, their 4-meter-long spears protruding from the trees everywhere, becoming entangled among them. The forest is alive. However, the forest is also their weakness. Tiberius positions his legion, with the enemy phalangites on the other side of the forest clearing. Tiberius knows this will be a long and arduous battle. The siege of Arbela has begun. Historically, the siege of Arbela, also known as the Battle of Gaugamela, took place in 331 BC and was a decisive battle between the Macedonian king Alexander the Great and the Persian king Darius III. At that time, Arbela, now Erbil in present-day Iraq, was an important city in the Persian Empire. The siege of Arbela was part of Alexander's campaign against the Persian Empire. After crossing the Granicus River in 334 BC and winning a series of battles against the Persians, Alexander marched further south and eventually reached Gaugamela, near Arbela. Darius III had assembled his Persian army there to halt Alexander's advance. The Battle of Gaugamela was one of the greatest battles of antiquity. Darius III commanded an army estimated to be between 100,000 and 250,000 soldiers, while Alexander the Great faced him with an army of about 40,000 to 50,000 soldiers. Despite being outnumbered, Alexander developed a tactical strategy to overcome the Persian resistance. But in our scenario, there is no Alexander the Great. Instead, we have Tiberius Aemilius Lepidus. He gathers his cavalry and leads the initial strike. The battle ensues in the forest. Tiberius possesses a strong cavalry, but will it be enough? The Seleucid general sees an opportunity to join the fight and brings his armored cataphract riders to engage. However, Tiberius spots his chance on the left flank. He sends his cavalry and directs the infantry to attack the enemy's left flank. Attack! The enemy phalanx gets lost in the woods and stumbles among the trees. A fight erupts on the left flank. Both generals get involved. Tiberius has brought the phalanx and cavalry and swiftly moves towards the enemy warlord. The Roman heavy elite infantry overwhelms him, dismounting him from his horse. But the enemy is strong and numerous. Historically, the Romans besieged Babylon in 165 BC during the Parthian Wars. At that time, Babylon was under the control of the Seleucids, who were a successor state to Alexander the Great. The Romans, led by Lucius Aemilius Paulus, were part of a military campaign to weaken Seleucid control over Mesopotamia. The siege of Babylon was part of a larger Roman military campaign in the region. Babylon was a strategically important city and a significant cultural and economic center. The Romans saw the conquest of Babylon as an opportunity to consolidate their power in the region. The exact details of the siege of Babylon, however, are not well documented, and there are conflicting accounts of the outcome of the siege. Some sources claim that the Romans successfully captured Babylon, while others assert that the siege failed and the Romans had to retreat. It is important to note that the Romans and the Seleucids continued to have military conflicts in the following years, and control over Babylon changed hands multiple times between the two powers. However, the Romans did not achieve the final conquest of Babylon, as the Roman Empire later shifted its attention to other areas. But returning to the battle before Arbela, if you haven't subscribed yet, now is the moment. Give a like, don't be a jerk. A massive gathering of Persian phalangites in the forest is surrounded by Roman legionnaires. Tiberius Aemilius Lepidus and his cavalry tighten the noose. However, the forest clearing is now filled with Persian phalangites, their 4-meter-long spears protruding from the trees everywhere. The forest clearing seemed alive, as if the phalangites had become part of nature itself. Thousands of spears pierced through branches and leaves, as if the forest itself had turned into an impenetrable fortress. The once peaceful greenery transformed into a labyrinthine mesh of danger and terror. The animals that once found refuge in this forest dared not move. Their home was now haunted by a menacing presence. The song of birds was drowned out by the rumble of phalangite movements, and the rustling of the wind was stifled by the sound of warrior actions. But the Romans cleansed the forest, and since then, the forest druid has been very grateful. Historically, the Parthian Wars were a series of conflicts between the Roman Empire and the Parthian Empire that took place in the 1st centuries BC and AD. The Parthian Empire was a powerful Persian state that existed from the 3rd century BC to the 3rd century AD and controlled large parts of the Near East. The Parthian Wars began in the 1st century BC when the Roman Empire, under the leadership of Crassus and later under the triumvirate of Octavian, the future Emperor Augustus, Antony, and Lepidus, attempted to break Parthian control over the eastern borderlands of the Roman Empire. The most well-known conflict in the Parthian Wars was the Roman-Parthian War from 53 to 63 AD, also known as the War of King Vologeses. In this conflict, the Parthian king Vologeses I attempted to break Roman control over the kingdom of Armenia, which was then a buffer state between the Roman Empire and the Parthian Empire. There were several military engagements between the two powers, but ultimately Armenia remained under Roman control. The Parthian Wars were characterized by alternating successes and failures on both sides. Both the Roman Empire and the Parthian Empire achieved military victories at times, but neither party was able to gain a lasting upper hand. The wars ultimately ended with the rise of the Sasanian Empire in the 3rd century AD, which replaced the Parthian Empire and presented new challenges to the Roman Empire. The Parthian Wars had a significant impact on the political and military history of the Middle East. They led to territorial shifts, cultural exchanges, and power dynamics changes in the region. The forest has been cleared, and the Roman legionnaires relentlessly advance through the woods to the other side of the forest clearing. The enemy phalanx flees. Tiberius Aemilius Lepidus leads the attack with his cavalry, riding down the enemies. However, countless other enemy spears are present in the surroundings. Tiberius Lepidus sounds the call for attack. The records do not indicate why the enemy army hesitated, whether it was Tiberius' rapid advance or the phalangites' fear of the trees. Vespasian's Batanea's Lordnikes, the Seleucid Persian commander, has fallen, and his scattered army is in the woods. Slowly, the frightened ones regroup. As their allies flee, the remaining enemy warriors come together and secure their escape. A final barricade on the way to Arbela, and to Babylon. More and more Roman legionnaires storm out of the woods. The last battle ensues. It is chaos. A desperate Persian fighting force holds back the Romans. But they are so psychologically demoralized that they look in the wrong direction. The Persian phalangites are afraid of being attacked from behind. That's why they've given up holding the front. The officer has instructed them to cover the rear. The Persians are annihilated. A heroic victory and an important first step in the siege and capture of Arbela. Until next time, remember to like and subscribe.